certainly never heard of no Dylan Gabriel or Tyler Shock. What the hell is that? So how is Shedeur Sanders going behind them? I'll tell you how. It's collusion.
Whoa.
4 different times they passed on him. How the hell does that happen? 4 rounds. It doesn't happen to a quarterback. We've never seen anything like this before. Shedeur Sanders with the watch. Shedeur Sanders with his bravado. Shedeur Sanders with this supposed arrogance or whatever. He's still bald. Brother can play.
The internet just imploded again. The Browns' owner lit the fuse. Shedeur Sanders is starting week 1. Now the haters are spiraling like a washing machine set to chaos mode. 1 second, they're yelling he's overhyped. The next, they're battling over which excuse sounds least desperate. Grab the popcorn, because watching the trolls cannibalize each other is better than anything preseason can offer. This isn't just a QB reveal, it's a full-blown meltdown parade, and Shedeur, he's front and center on the float.
They took him off, and they took him off because the owner said take him off. I don't want that guy. Shedeur Sanders just torpedoed himself. His attitude off the field at the combine, his dad didn't help him either. You know, he was on podcast talking about, this is my son. If I can get him to where I want to get him to, I'm going to do that. But, you know, when you listen to this kid talk right prior or at the combine about if you want a new culture in your locker room, I'm the guy to do that. I can turn it around. I mean, he's very high on himself. And I think he was very off-putting to many coaches and general managers.
If you're enjoying, please subscribe to the channel. It helps more than you think. The moment the Browns locked in Shedeur Sanders as their week 1 starter, the internet didn't just respond, it exploded. What followed was part online meltdown, part group therapy gone wrong. Haters turned on each other with the energy of a Black Friday brawl at a discount doomsday prep store. Panic, wild takes, and desperate spin flooded every feed. This wasn't just a QB announcement. It was a digital demolition.
Can everyone stop acting so surprised that Shedeur Sanders didn't get drafted in the first round? He's been overrated this entire time. People have been hyping him up because his last name is Sanders. This guy right here summed it up perfectly. He's a poor leader, poor teammate, not good under pressure, and sure, he has arm talent and he can be accurate, but the negatives outweigh the positives, not to mention all of his awkward-ass interviews. And then the last sentence really sums it all up. If his name was Shane Smith, he'd be a 3rd-round pick. That sentence alone sums the entire thing up.
You'd think football itself had been personally attacked. The same armchair critics who swore Shedeur Sanders wouldn't make it past preseason are now pulling out imaginary scouting reports like they've been breaking down film since diapers. Overnight, every timeline is flooded with experts foaming at the mouth, screaming outrage, and passing blame like it's a hot potato. This isn't just backlash. It's theatrical panic disguised as analysis, and apparently Shedeur starting is the apocalypse they never saw coming.
Shedeur Sanders not getting drafted in the first 3 rounds is disgusting. Let's talk about what it means. I've never been a Sanders, but I've been a backup quarterback in the National Football League. More than the pride being hurt, the opportunity has now been hurt. When you're a backup quarterback, you are much more easily discarded. If you're going to get drafted in the 4th round or later, you are being drafted to be a backup. Think about the quarterbacks drafted after the 3rd round that are currently starting or potentially have the opportunity to start. Dak Prescott, he only started because Tony Romo got hurt. Kirk Cousins, he only started because Robert Griffin got hurt. Brock Purdy, he only started because Trey Lance got hurt. Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt. If you get drafted after the 3rd round, you do not have an opportunity to start, barring an unforeseen injury. So even
the best part? The outrage isn't even coming from rival fan bases. Nope, this is self-inflicted chaos. It's Browns fans eating their own. The same loyal diehards who've backed quarterbacks with rap sheets longer than their stat sheets are suddenly clutching pearls over Shedeur Sanders. Now he's the line in the sand? The irony is rich, and the meltdown is absolutely homegrown.
If Zach Jackson and him and everybody else that we talked to have said that Shedeur looks good. He looks really good.
Yes.
He looks better. And we got Zach that say Dylan Gabriel ain't even an NFL quarterback.
That's true.
So how is it that this man can't get a rep with the ones, but that non-NFL quarterback can?
We all
what
agree
sense
with that.
does that make?
It makes no sense.
Clearly, the guys running the team disagree with us.
Man.
It doesn't make any
and they're
sense.
the ones.
I don't, What are y'all trying to? What is the goal of this year?
Apparently, the real problem isn't talent, it's swagger. God forbid a young quarterback have confidence, style, and the audacity to wear a luxury watch in public. The horror. Within minutes, social media turned into a courtroom drama, with everyone pointing fingers. One side is yelling, "It's the owner's fault for buying into the brand." Another is shouting, "This is Dion's doing. He hypnotized the front office." And then you have the dramatic ones. "This is the end of the Browns as we know it." End? Buddy, the Browns have had more ends than a telenovela. They've been rebooted more times than Spider-Man, and this is the moment you think signals doom? Haters are now breaking up into little cliques like a bad high school movie. There's the, "he's only famous because of his dad" crew. Ironic, considering half the NFL has sons of former players, coaches, and GMs doing just fine. Then there's the "he played at Colorado so it doesn't count" squad, as if elite quarterbacks only emerge from Alabama or a cloning facility in Georgia. Then you've got the "but he didn't win a national title" gang, who conveniently forget that some of the NFL's best QBs didn't win anything in college except a parking ticket. Apparently, winning is only relevant when it helps their argument. And in the far uncharted corner of delusion, we find the "he's a distraction" arena camp. Because nothing says distraction like a composed, disciplined QB who studies tape, handles media like a veteran, and hasn't been caught in any off-field scandals. How dare he be young, confident, and marketable?
The greatest NFL positional battle this offseason has to be the Browns quarterback room. I mean, we're getting the unprecedented stat cards getting dropped after OTAs. And what a group this is. You assume it's going to be Flacco as QB1, but he's 40 years old and on his second stint with the team. And then there's Dylan Gabriel, who was the first quarterback they selected in the 3rd round of the draft. And then obviously Shedeur Sanders was drafted in the 5th round, probably the fan favorite going into this thing, as he already leads all rookies in jersey sales just 1 month after the draft.
Meanwhile, the Browns owner is sitting back with a face that basically says, "Y'all done?" Because let's be honest, if you've invested in a player with Shedeur's IQ, arm, composure, and market magnetism, you start him. You don't bury that under an uninspiring depth chart and hope magic happens. This isn't a sitcom reboot. It's football. Of course, the Shedeur skeptics have now moved the goalposts. First it was, "he won't get drafted." Then it became, "he won't go early." Then, "he won't be a starter." And now that he's starting, oh, the narrative is, well, he better be perfect by week 1 or else he's a bust. They went from, "he's not ready," to, "he better win the Super Bowl in his first game or we riot." And the funniest part? The moment Shedeur drops a dime over the middle, the same critics are going to twist themselves into human pretzels to justify it. Well, it was just one throw. That was a blown coverage. Let's see him do that again in a snowstorm while blindfolded. Some fans are so confused they don't know whether to be angry at Shedeur, Dion, the Browns, or their own lack of vision. So instead, they've turned on each other. It's like watching a group of conspiracy theorists argue about which alien species is controlling the draft board.
75% completion percentage.
Oh,
a lot of touchdowns.
College football is completely different.
I know it is.
than the NFL.
I know, but I do think there's something about him that I think would excite a fan base and lend hope to a fan base that's been longing for another guy since Eli got old.
You know, he dominated at the HBCU that he played at, and I would say, yeah, he played much above average at Colorado.
He played great at Colorado.
But when I watch the games, there's a lot. He's standing back there for 5 or 6 seconds.
Understood. I know you got to get rid of the ball.
I know people are saying, "Oh, he didn't have this great offensive line." I'm like, I didn't see him, a lot of times dropping back.
There's one guy screaming that Dion must have bribed someone. Another is convinced Shedeur hacked the Browns' database. One wild-made dude swears this is all a marketing ploy to sell jerseys. Meanwhile, the Browns' front office is sipping coffee and watching the drama unfold like it's reality TV. But let's talk facts. Shedeur isn't just another coach's kid. He's not a participation trophy with cleats. This kid reads defenses like they insulted his family. He's got footwork like a ballerina who bench presses linebackers. And mentally, he's composed enough to run a Wall Street firm while calling plays on the side. Still, haters are clinging to their last defense. He's not a traditional quarterback. Translation: he makes me uncomfortable because he doesn't fit into the boring box I expect. Heaven forbid the NFL evolves. Heaven forbid a player be multidimensional. They're terrified he might actually succeed, because that would mean everything they clung to, their spreadsheets, their intangibles, their hot takes, was wrong. And if Shedeur blows up, if he becomes the face of the Browns, and they'll have to admit that maybe, just maybe, swag and substance can coexist. And here's the real kicker: Shedeur might not just succeed, he might thrive in Cleveland.
Now this makes a lot more sense. Shedeur Sanders, you were unprepared for an interview with the New York Giants. Brian Daboll called you out in the meeting. You then threw attitude at Brian Daboll for calling you out on it, and you wonder why you're sliding in the draft? Here's another interview in regards to poor character. Listen, you guys who are pulling the whole color card, it has nothing to do with what he looks like. It has everything to do with who he is as a person. You could be the best athlete on the planet. You could be the richest person on the planet. If you don't have an ounce of humility in your soul, people will not like you.
Yes, Cleveland. The same place that chewed up quarterbacks like they were vending machine snacks. But Shedeur? He's built different. The spotlight doesn't scare him. The pressure doesn't rattle him. He's been the most watched, most scrutinized college player in years, and still walked with his chin up and receipts in hand. Plus, Cleveland's roster isn't a wasteland. There's talent. There's structure. There's actual potential. Put Shedeur behind that line with those weapons, and you might just see a rookie campaign that shuts every troll down. But don't worry, the haters will be fine. They'll just pivot. Next week, the argument will be that he's too good too soon, and it's suspicious. You know someone's going to tweet that no QB should be that calm unless he's a robot, and then the debate will shift from his talent to his humanity. That's the cycle. Deny, dismiss, doubt, distract. And when all else fails, deflect. Meanwhile, Shedeur's only response will be the box score. While the haters are still squabbling in their group chats, he'll be out there throwing dots, running the offense like a veteran, and reminding everyone that you don't have to be quiet to be great. And the Browns, they just might have pulled the ultimate reverse card. For a franchise that's worn dysfunction like a badge of honor, they finally chose vision over noise. They chose a quarterback who doesn't just have the tools, but the mentality.
I'm trying to figure out why everybody acted surprised like Shedeur Sanders was just supposed to be off the board by now. Y'all really act like dude is like that. Y'all act like he him. Y'all act like he got Cam Newton capabilities or he got Josh Allen traits. Like, boy, I don't even think Shedeur Sanders better than Tyrod Taylor. I'm gonna be real. I don't even think Shedeur Sanders is better than Tyrod Taylor. I think a lot of y'all getting sucked into the hype because of his dad and his situation and the whole, you know what I'm saying? But when we looking at it for what it really is, bruh, Shedeur's not that big.
So go ahead, let the haters keep arguing. Let them spiral into debate club meltdowns about whether Shedeur deserves this shot. Because at this point, their noise is the soundtrack to his rise. And when week 1 hits, the only sound that'll matter is the sweet, sweet silence that follows a touchdown drive they swore would never happen. Let them cook their own narratives. Shedeur already packed the receipt. Now remember when the so-called experts were yelling from every rooftop that Shedeur wouldn't even make the team? Oh, they were loud. Obnoxiously loud. Pounding their chests like they were auditioning for Football Nostradamus Washed Up Scout Edition. They had charts. They had numbers. They had recycled talking points from 2016 blog posts, and every single one of them swore on their limited football credibility that Shedeur wouldn't even crack the 53-man roster, let alone sniff a QB2 spot. Practice squad at best, they said, as if that was a profound revelation and not just a lazy opinion wrapped in insecurity. He's just there for vibes, they mumbled between nervous sips of lukewarm takes. One guy even claimed he'd eat a football if Shedeur made it to first-team reps. Well, someone get that man some hot sauce, because the Browns just served up a piping hot helping of crow. Because now, the Browns didn't just keep Shedeur, They didn't just let him warm the bench in peace. No, they put him in the spotlight. Week 1, first team offense, real games, real pressure, real chaos.
But I expect a jump from 4 to 2, and then I expect to see some playing time from 2 this season. When you look at what happened with rookie minicamp, with OTAs, organized team activities, now it's happened with minicamp 2 days in. That's 3/4 of the process. The next process is full-blown camp in July. He has been the leader, percentage-wise, touchdown to interception ratio, et cetera, in all 3 of those. I'm really anticipating that continues in July camp, which it will, that about that 2nd or 3rd preseason game, he goes from QB4 to QB.
And the owner? Cool as ever. Zero hesitation. Confirmed it like he was announcing happy hour specials. Like it was obvious. And the haters? Oh, they've gone full ghost mode. Vanished like they never tweeted 47 times a day about how he doesn't have the NFL frame. Funny how those voices dry up the moment reality stops listening to their script. One minute they're telling us he's a celebrity quarterback. The next minute they're unplugging their Wi-Fi so they don't have to see the news. Not even pretending to fight anymore, just radio silence. Meanwhile, Shedeur's out here dapping up the O-line, throwing lasers, and preparing like he's been here a decade. Let's be honest, these clowns never wanted him to make the team because it messed with their precious narrative. Next, if Shedeur failed, it made them feel right. If he succeeded, it meant they actually had to reassess their stale football philosophies. And Lord knows, nothing terrifies a Twitter analyst more than growth. They told everyone that he didn't look the part. Translation, he makes me uncomfortable because he's not boring, robotic, or afraid to be excellent publicly. They clung to outdated metrics like they were gospel, ignoring every actual sign of readiness Shedeur displayed on and off the field. And don't forget the real kicker. They said he'd never even beat out the backup. Like this was going to be some quiet QB3 and chill situation where he'd just hold a clipboard and collect paychecks. And now? He's taking reps with the ones. Starting reps. Not garbage time. Not maybe in week 10. No. Week friggin' 1.
He's incredibly accurate. He really understands not only offensive football, but he understands what you're doing as a defense. So he'll pick you apart that way. He processes quickly. Like all those things to me are big time attributes. And I just remember last year at this time, Bo Nix falling. People saying, hey, Bo Nix is going to be a 2nd rounder. And Bo Nix is not. By the way, that guy was one of the best quarterbacks in this rookie class last year. So I don't worry about what the evaluators say about Shedeur Sanders. I think the guy is a big-time player.
But let's pause for a moment and appreciate how violently their narrative just got ejected from the metaphorical game. They went from saying he won't make the team to now pretending they always kind of saw this coming. Please. These people didn't see this coming the same way they didn't see the Browns making a competent front office decision. You can almost hear them updating their excuses in real time. Well, he's only starting because the Browns are desperate. Ah, yes. Desperate. Desperate enough to choose the only QB in camp who isn't panicking, throwing ducks, or staring down receivers like it's a staring contest. Desperate enough to start the one guy who shows actual leadership and game readiness. Makes perfect sense. One of the loudest critics even tried spinning it into a conspiracy theory. Said the Browns had to start him because of pressure from external forces. Bro, what? External forces? The Illuminati, the Dion Hive, Amazon Prime, or maybe, and hear me out here, maybe Shedeur just outplayed everyone. But you know what's even funnier than the excuses? The sudden praise. Oh yeah, the flip-flop is already happening. The same people who called him a liability are now carefully using words like intriguing upside. They're dropping terms like dual threat potential and interesting composure. Interesting? You mean the same composure you said was cockiness in disguise 2 weeks ago?
He's done nothing wrong. So why are we having this conversation about his character? I'm gonna tell you why. Because you got people hating on his daddy.
Yeah, that's what I was.
And they want any excuse that they can come up with. And let me remind America, why Deion Sanders, we gonna say this. This is why Deion Sanders is hated by some people, because he was the greatest. And he told you so. And then went out there and showed you show. And you were helpless to do anything about it. And then when he talked about it, not only could you not play better than him, you couldn't talk better than him, you couldn't articulate your thoughts better than
Now all of a sudden, everyone's pretending like they had a secret file of pro-Shedeur takes ready for this exact moment, acting like they always believed, they just didn't want to be too early. Nah, you weren't early, you weren't late, you were wrong. And the real ones, the folks who actually watched him play at Colorado, who saw the poise, the vision, the way he carried that program on his back while being dissected by every media outlet on earth, they're just sipping their tea because they already knew. Shedeur doesn't just deserve this shot, he earned it with receipts. And the fact that the Browns recognized it before the league caught up, that might be the most shocking plot twist of all. The team famous for quarterback chaos may have actually beaten the system, and it's driving the haters absolutely mad. Because deep down, the people who doubted him don't fear him failing, they fear him dominating. Shedeur's not just playing football. He's playing chess while the rest of them argue over checkers rules. And while they keep fumbling their narratives, he's building his legacy. So yeah, let them keep hiding. Let them pretend they didn't say all that. Let them scrub their tweets and delete their receipt, because while they're busy rewriting history, Shedeur's about to write a whole new chapter in Cleveland. And it's got fireworks written all over it.